Alright, so I was completely wrong about Springman being the ARMS character that would become playable in Smash, but I covered myself pretty well by saying Min Min had an incredibly high chance of getting it. Personally, out of all the ARMS characters it could have been, I think Min Min is the best choice because she has a martial artist background, making it easier to develop a moveset around her. Plus, she's a fan favorite in the ARMS community. Watching the direct and seeing all the things this character can do potentially is making me feel like she might be the next Smash 4 Bayonetta. In case you don't know what I mean, I'm saying she might be incredibly overpowered, causing less people to want to play Smash or attend events, and the competitive scene's audience to lower. If that is the case, from an optimistic perspective, I think it's good that this is happening now instead of at the very end of the game's life where little to no balance updates are going to be released. That was the main issue with Smash 4 Bayonetta. She came out at the very end of the game when it wasn't being updated anymore. Look at pre-patch Diddy or Sheik from Smash 4. They were extremely strong characters that if left unchecked would have killed the competitive scene, but eventually got nerfed. They did attempt to balance her more in the final patch update for Smash 4, but it still was not enough. I actually think it might have been better if Smash 4's final patch update never happened, because it would have resulted in Bayonetta eventually getting banned, and in return would have made the meta a lot better. If Min Min really is overpowered, from an optimistic perspective, I'm glad this is happening now and not later in the game's life. There's no way they wouldn't create an update to nerf her if she needs one. The pessimistic side of me is thinking she might cause a major blow to the scene. With Ultimate Online being as bad as it is combined with an overpowered zoning character, I think a lot of people may not want to play the game anymore since offline events aren't going to be a thing for a while. Plus, the Melee community just released Rollback Online, allowing you to play with little to no lag. If Ultimate Online continues to be as bad as it is, I could realistically see a large number of the Ultimate community switching over to Melee. Alright, so I want to get into why I believe Min Min might potentially be overpowered. The most obvious reason is the insane amount of range this character has. She easily outranges every character in the game, and they called Byleth the Distance Demon. If that's the Distance Demon, then Min Min is the Distance Devil. It also looks like she's going to have the longest grab range, just based off of the direct video. I know in the video Sakurai said Min Min is going to have issues fighting up close, but you gotta take that statement with a grain of salt. When Bayonetta was released in Smash 4, they also said she had slow startup on her attacks at combo, even though she had an up B that was framed for and could be comboed into. It's one move, but all you need is one good move that can help you in that situation. From what I saw in the video, the jab she can do by not holding the attack button looks fairly quick with a decent range. I think her up tilt might be pretty quick too. I can see her struggling to deal with opponents who are good at pressuring shields up close, but I also believe you don't really need a strong offensive out of shield option to get out of shield pressure because of how fast jump is combined with the ability to parry and use dodge options. Not to mention, she has that up B which has invulnerability frames to avoid attacks. I'm assuming it's going to be a really good option to avoid getting pressured on platform stages because you have landing mix-ups. There's a few things that I believe she has combined with her range that's going to be really good. The N-lag on her long range attacks didn't seem that bad. It's even scarier when you think about how she can change her arms and make the attack come out faster. She can move while throwing out grounded attacks, making it easier for her to zone out opponents and microspace. This reminds me of Mega Man, except it looks like she's going to be able to more easily attack while moving backwards, without the need to jump. She has a mix-up option of being able to use both her left and right arm, or just one. This could put her zoning on a whole other level compared to the other characters, because you have to worry about her throwing out an additional attack, and if she's using the Ram arm, it looks like it's going to be extremely good at covering jumps. I could see a lot of options that would work really well against other zoners, being harder to pull off against Min Min because of her second arm. This one I'm not too sure about and we're probably not going to know until she gets released, but the disjoint on her arms. If Min Min has no hurtbox on her arms while throwing out attacks, this is going to be huge. Based on what Sakurai has shown us so far, it doesn't look like she's going to have a hurtbox on her arms. I say this because in the showcase, when Min Min attacked Marth and he countered, she did not get hit. This would mean Min Min's arms act like swords, except she can retract them and angle them, while also being able to change how strong and fast they are. I saw a few people comparing Min Min to Dawson from Street Fighter, and although visually their attacks may look the same, if she has no hitbox on her arms, they will act very differently. While Dawson does have an insane amount of range, he has to be incredibly careful about how he throws out his attacks because there is still a hitbox attached to them. So if he keeps throwing out attacks constantly, even from a distance, he's going to be punished. Min Min, however, doesn't look like she's going to have that issue. At a distance, she might be able to constantly throw out attacks and not be punished for it. Even if you get up close, she has decently fast attacks she can use to get you off of her. It also looks like she's going to have a ridiculous edge guarding game because she's able to angle her arms and cover in an insane distance with them. Her dragon arm has a projectile which can further the distance of her attacks. It seems like she's going to be able to heavily edge guard opponents without ever needing to leave the stage. Two-framing opponents is going to be easier for her compared to the rest of the cast since she can use both her arms and put a constant hitbox for a decent amount of time. And then just to add to the things she could do, they gave her an up smash that reflects. So with everything I've said on how Min Min could potentially be an overpowered character, I want to talk about some things that we don't yet know about her that could completely change that. Her recovery looks like it's going to be incredibly exploitable. To me, it looks like Joker's recovery when he doesn't have Arsene. If that is the case, and Min Min doesn't have any strong recovery mix-ups, she'll be good, but not overpowered. I think her on-stage capabilities will still be really good, and probably hard for a lot of characters to deal with, but a terrible recovery is a huge glaring weakness that cannot be overlooked. Something else to note is that we don't know if any part of her arm has a hurtbox. It could be that a portion of her arm has no hurtbox, which means she'll have to be careful about how and when she throws out attacks, because she could still be punished. There's one other thing that could potentially make her not as overpowered as she may seem. That is if her attacks have low priority similar to Bayonetta and Olimar's smash attacks. What this would mean is that her attacks can clank and lose out to aerials. This would make it more difficult for her to abuse her range because she can't challenge hitboxes, at least with her arms. Overall, Min Min looks like she's going to be a really fun character to use. The amount of options and unique ways to deal with specific situations makes it feel like she's going to require a decent amount of creativity to optimize. I think with everything going on, there's a very good chance that balancing characters was not focused on as much compared to previous updates. This would be understandable since they'd probably want the character to be released on the month they said it would be released, and Nintendo's top priority is not the competitive scene, it's the casual audience. If this is the case and Min Min turns out to not be as balanced as we are used to from previous characters, this could potentially deal a great blow to the competitive ultimate scene. They could ban the character, but I don't think that would happen since she's so new and there would be uncertainty about how good she actually is. But we won't know anything until she's actually released next week. If you actually sat through the entire video, thank you for watching or listening, and hopefully you enjoyed my little theory/rant on Min Min potentially being overpowered. Give it a like if you did, and subscribe and ring the bell if you haven't done that yet. If you want to support my channel even further, I also have a Patreon. You can check it out in the link in the description. But that's it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.